Kade, did you know that back in April 26th of 2002, Sean S. Cunningham and a special effects guy that worked with David Cronenberg and a novice writer band together to bring us one of the most iconic slasher villains of all time and put him in the one place that we all knew we wanted to see him in, and that's space. And of course, we're talking about Jason X on this episode of Spotlight.
It's a go.
Or maybe Blacklight. So, of course, the movie, we're talking about here is Jason X, the 10th installment in the Friday the 13th film.
Truly the creme de la creme of them all.
This is, it's not an exaggeration. As far as, like, it stands out so much from the other ones because it's in space.
It's because it's in space.
But also the director, Jim Isaac or whatever his name is, they kind of went in, they're like, we want to do something different. Because this movie was, because they did Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
So Sean S. Cunningham, after Friday the 13th Part 8, Paramount, I believe they made that one, they ended up giving the rights back to Sean S. Cunningham. And then he started making this like little trilogy of Jason movies, which was Jason Goes to Hell, and then Jason X, and then Freddy vs. Jason. So, but they were going to go from Jason Goes to Hell right to Freddy vs. Jason.
Yes, yeah.
But that movie was like in pre-production hell. So that movie just like could not get made. Nobody that was part of the creative team could like figure out what they wanted to do. And then Sean S. Cunningham had to deal with New Line Cinema, which was every time he makes a movie, he'll give it to them. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why he did that is because New Line owned Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy. They owned Nightmare on Elm Street. So after we get the terrible, god-awful Jason Goes to Hell, and they teased with the Freddy glove and everything like that's coming. They're like, well, we can't make this movie. No one's agreeing, so let's go out and make it. I heard something as well about, I don't know if this is 100% true. I thought it was, but now I'm questioning it, that the reason Jason X was even made to begin with is because it was taking so long to make Freddy vs. Jason that they needed to pump out a movie to
keep the rights.
To keep the rights, yeah. So that might be. So this movie was essentially just some sort of filler movie in between Freddy vs. Jason. And that's hence why it takes place so far into the future. They couldn't really do anything with the way it was set up.
The current timeline.
Exactly. So they're like, oh, just set in the future. We'll hire this novice writer, Todd Farmer, and Todd or Tom, I think it's Todd Farmer, who's just like some guy. And then he wrote this fucking movie. And what they did, this is what I like to call lightning in a bottle, because they made one of the worst straight like theatrical release movies ever made. This and House of the Dead, Uwe Boll's House of the Dead, are like two of the most baffling films that you're like, you see it now and you're like, this would never be in theaters nowadays.
It would never fly.
This might not even get made nowadays.
Look out!
Oh shit! Forgot my arm.
Yeah, here you go, dumbass.
I can't.
No, it'd be career ending.
But it's wonderful. It's so enjoyable and terrible in every way. So I guess we'll just like jump into the plot really quick here. So
cryogenics.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And spoiler alert to a movie that's 20 years old. It's the 20th anniversary of this movie. So I said, why not? And Friday the 13th this month. So why not?
It all fits.
We'll pick the one that's usually most hated. Well, actually now there's a lot of love for it, but I think Jason Goes to Hell is the most hated one. But essentially the plot of this movie starts off and we see this facility, and Jason has been captured, and the military have him now, and they're essentially trying to harness into his like immortality. So we get a great cameo by David Cronenberg. For some reason. Well, I was always baffled by that. I was like, why the fuck is David Cronenberg in this movie? You know, and the reason why is because the director, Jim Isaacs, he had been a special effects guy on a few of David Lynch's movies. I believe it was The Fly, Naked Lunch, and Existence, or whatever the fuck that movie's called. The one with the bone gun. And Jude Law, I think, is the guy that was in it. But yeah, so he worked on that one, and then he said like, hey, do you want to like be in this this movie? And he was like, yeah, sure. Actually, what really happened was the director needed to borrow David Cronenberg's like assistant. And he said, yeah, you can have her for a few weeks, but in return, I
need to be in
I
this.
want to roll in the movie.
Yeah.
And it was also like, and I also need to be killed off. So you never bring me back ever again.
Ever.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, sounds good. And he actually like, and David Cronenberg, auteur, filmmaker, writer, director, he actually rewrote like all of his lines, but he has like one of the greatest moments ever. They're in the facility. They're talking about like, okay, like we need to just kill this guy and he needs to die like 100% because like he's too dangerous. And then he's just like talking to the lead actress and he's just like, yeah, but we can't do that. We need more time to experiment on him and we need to tap into this immortality, like, you know, so we can use it as a weapon and everything. And she's like, is that really worth all the like thousands of lives of people that could die? And he's just like, yes.
And you're willing to risk the deaths of innocent civilians if he escapes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's the way he says it, too.
It's so great. Whenever David Cronenberg acts, it's always so wonderful. He's also, quick little mention, he's also in a movie called Nightbreed, Clive Barker's Nightbreed. He plays the killer in it, and he's also really great in that, too. So he's a wonderful director and actor, and I can't wait for his new movie.
Yeah, it looks great.
We won't go into that.
But we're
right
going to
now.
continue.
Yeah. So, but yeah, after all that happens and everything, as you'd expect, Jason breaks out, goes crazy, everybody gets hurt, and then she's like, okay, I'm going to freeze him. I'm going to lock him in this chamber and freeze him. And then breaking all realms of reality, he somehow shoves an old 40-year-old machete through titanium and stabs her, and then the door freezes. It sees like a leak, and then it like locks her in, then freezes. Cut to 455 years later. Earth is a desolate wasteland.
Destroyed.
And then we enter in our group of space college teenage cadets with their fetish pervert teacher.
You pass!
I thought they were trying. I can't remember if it's a colony ship or what, because they're going. I remember specifically, it's Earth 2 is the location.
They go to Earth. They go to Earth, and what it is it's just university students on like a field trip. It's so far in the future that they're going to this wasteland of Earth, and they're just looking for like knickknacks and shit.
I just remember them referencing their home world, and it's like, yeah, we're from Earth 2.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, they end up finding his frozen body. They're just like, oh, we found this like relic. Let's take him and this girl back onto our ship. And that's like the most
research him.
That's like one thing. I was watching the behind the scenes on this. There's like by the way, on this edition, there's like a lot of special features. This is like the Scream Factory box set you can get. Mm-hmm. But like even if you just find the DVD, all this stuff is just like, besides a few new things they have on here from Scream Factory, the documentary, like the making of documentary, which has the greatest name of all time. It's the name is called By Any Means Necessary, The Making of Jason X, which is the most desperate name that you could ever have. And like it just like, and then when you watch the documentary, it reeks of sleaze. And it's just such a sleazy
Well, the movie does too, man.
It's a juggernaut of death.
This has so much computer-generated imagery.
It's not just special effects for the sake of special effects. We have these wonderful acting moments.
He's talking about in the commentary, Jim Isaac's talking about, I really wanted the ship to feel like brighter and different, because all these horror movies are so dark and grim. And I'm like, so you cranked you exposed it to 11 and then have your set look like Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I want everybody to feel comfortable, and everyone's wearing like this like wool.
I would say this. I remember the scientist had like her boobs basically out, and it's like what?
Everyone's dressed like sleaze, like early 2000s sleaze.
Yeah.
And it's so funny listening to him talk about like, yeah, I really want to make like, he's like, the movie's more of an action film, but it's still scary. And then like on the documentary, they cut to like these shots of like just this bright area, and it all looks so fake. And I'm like, dude, listen, as filmmakers, you want to use shadows and like darkness to hide the imperfections of your set, of your makeup and everything. And this guy's just like, crank that shit up to 11.
Show it all.
Show everything. And it's just so bad. Like it looks so cheap. That's why this movie comes off so shocking that it's that it was made for like theaters. It was the theatrical release, because it looks like Star Trek.
It looks terrible.
It looks horrible. And it's just so ridiculous. But yeah, so then basically Jason gets onto the ship. They unthaw him and the scientist from 455 years ago, and then he goes amok and runs. And we get like, that's the one thing is like, although it's like the fucking stupidest shit in the world.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, and there are good kills.
I would
in
say
it.
the kills are really creative, and some of them are pretty visceral, and I enjoy that. Hard cut to the freaking him with the bag smacking the girl to death on the tree. But anyways,
yeah, that's hilarious. Even though those are just like virtual like projections, that's like one of the funniest things ever.
Hey, you want a beer?
Or do you want to smoke some pot?
Or we can have premarital sex.
We love premarital sex.
Wow, he's good.
It's another thing. It's just like this movie has a lot of sexuality in it.
Yeah.
Because it's a slasher film.
Yeah.
But like Jim Isaacs is just like, I really don't want any nudity in this movie. and it's just so funny because it's just like, okay, yeah, but some of the shit you do is sleazier and more like uncomfortable than having just basic nudity.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like it would make sense with the nipple. There's a
I would say
funny-
the nipple scene.
Yeah, there's an android character who like the creator of this android's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like put nipples on you, and then there's a funny scene where it's like her
They
just like nude and then
fall
they
off.
fall off, which was an actual practical effect. That's not a real bust, obviously.
Yeah,
that
no.
woman can make her nipples fall off in real life. She like
Dark magic.
I mean, she doesn't need to be an actress. She's just gonna get a lot of money for that. So that's a fucking talent. But yeah, so Jason running amok. So, which actually, when he gets unfawed, that leads to one of my favorites, like probably
Yeah.
my favorite kill, one of my favorite kills in the entire series, which is the freeze head, the frozen head smash.
Yeah, that stuff was awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an excellent kill. It starts off too strong because there's not really any kills that ever match
that. No,
Yeah.
there's that stupid one later where it's like the buzzsaw thing, but it's just not as awesome as the freaking Sub-Zero kill.
Yeah, that's a fun kill, actually. There's like this giant needle sticking out of the ground, and then like one of the mercenaries has like maybe one of the worst kung fu moments of all time, and then he falls onto this giant like spear, and then he's
like,
just,
"Ah!"
and then it cuts to him, but he's just like spinning down on it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Which leads to like one of the most embarrassing lines of all time, which is which is like the other military dudes show up. Oh yeah, by the way, there's military personnel on this ship for university students. I don't know. It doesn't it
makes no
how
sense.
expensive is university in the future if you could afford like military costs? But anyway, but yeah, she comes in, she sees them, and it's just like, oh, whatever, insert like body bag character here. And she's like,
He's screwed.
Oh yeah, that's right.
and I'm just like, oh, that's so embarrassing, but also great. It's funny because on the commentary, the writer, I don't know, this writer's a sleazeball, I think, maybe a legend sleazeball. He wrote Drive Angry of Nicolas Cage as well. But yeah, to kind of show you the level of talent there.
Yeah.
But he on the commentary, they're like talking about that line. It's like, you know, we did all these test audiences with it, and I kept taking it in and putting it out and taking it in, putting it in, taking it out, and then finally just kept it in because audiences seemed to like and get a laugh. And then the writer's like, I like the line. He's just like, just makes me want to get hammered. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's such a fucking sleazeball. It's actually a pretty fun commentary. Just listen to the three of them, Noel Cunningham, Jim Isaacs, and Todd Farmer just talk about it because they just sound like a bunch of fucking frat boys. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Proud of their dumpster fire.
Yeah, and you can think like, oh, they were all just young. The director was 41 when he made this movie. He had 3 fucking children. They weren't young at all. You know?
Oh, it just makes it worse when you think about all the sleaze.
It's so sleazy. Well, that brings that one scene. Actually, we're gonna hold on a second. I gotta hold for research. The virtual 80s simulation scene included in the third act as a distraction for Jason was originally meant to be much more detailed, including a number of topless women playing volleyball. One idea even included the appearance of Pamela Voorhees, Jason's mother, which is funny. They weren't able to get her, but she showed up in Freddy vs. Jason. So something happened where they were able to get her for that. It says, but anyway, Pamela Voorhees, Jason's mother, and even went so far as to have Jason attack her, showing the extent of just how evil he had become. The later idea was regretfully dropped when Betsy Palmer turned down the role. But then it goes even further, where apparently what ended up happening is the scene, it was the casting director thought the scene was so sleazy that he or she, I think it was a she, refused to even do casting on it. So that's why it was like tailored down. And it makes you laugh because then you're like, But the director is talking about, oh, I don't want nudity. Oh, I don't want this. Oh, I don't want that. I just want to make this like action, genuine, like, you know, more meat than a basic Friday the 13th movie. And don't get me wrong, having it take place in space does bring another layer to it. It does make it fun. Just like Leprechaun. Like my favorite Leprechaun movie is Leprechaun 4 in space as well, because you get to be a little more creative. Yeah. But if you want to watch a space movie, Leprechaun 4 in space is like, that deserves its own fucking spot, like Blacklight episode. It is a gem. It is. There's just like genuine creativity and artistry into it. Yeah. This movie, they said that this was the first movie ever to be fully converted from film to digital.
A movie would be shot on 35mm motion picture film, and only those sequences that would be affected would be digitized. So you might digitize maybe 50 shots or maybe 100 shots. On this movie, what we're doing is we're actually digitizing the whole movie. So every frame of footage that is shot exists digitally. We have a whole digital archive of the movie.
And they actually wanted to shoot on digital, but the camera that George Lucas was making at the time that he filmed Star Wars on, episode 2 on, wasn't done yet. It was like almost done. It was like they were 6 months too soon or something like that. So instead they just shot on film and converted it to digital. And I was wondering like why, you know, but apparently it's because this movie is so visual effects heavy. And the visual effects are god awful.
They are. A unique opportunity to affect more of the film than ever before. Like literally every frame can be tweaked, color corrected, enhanced with computer-generated images, layered, composited together with other images where need be, and really design the whole look of the movie on a frame-by-frame basis. We have probably around 200 visual effects shots that involve computer-generated images, everything from creatures to virtual reality gaming environments to spaceships. We're creating 4 spaceships, the Grendel, the Solaris space station, and the shuttle, and then the rescue shuttle are all going to be created in CG. All these shots are going to come together in a digital environment, and we have a level of control that is never really been done before.
They're
a joke.
Notoriously awful, but apparently they just weren't they thought it was going to look great, so they relied heavily on visual effects because they're like, oh, what we'll do is we'll convert it to digital, and then the files for rendering will be easier to transfer, because on film they're going to be like these 2K files and everything. So even though this is on Blu-ray, this movie, any visual effects shot, which is like 80% of the whole fucking movie, is going to look like garbage because it's done on like a digital grade. It's not done on 2K or anything like that. So the best you'll probably get is a 1080p transfer out of those. But regardless, they weren't aware, and it's actually shocking how bad the visual effects are, because there's a scene where all shit's going to hell and Jason is storming the ship, and then they're trying to get to their, like, I don't know, colony base. Yeah. And they're like, we got 60 guards on standby and everything like that. It's gonna be good. But then like Jason like comically cuts to like the captain's quarters, and it's just like, we're like, I don't know, like the cockpit, and it's like just like this mutilated body, and the ship's just going to like, slow down, you're gonna smash into us, and then it crash into the station. But it looks so bad. Like the visual effects are just fucking awful.
They're jank.
And then it cuts. Like I'm watching this, and they're like doing behind the scenes of it, where they made a full-on model.
Models of it, which they exploded practically.
And like smashed it into the station. I'm like, how does it look so bad? And then they said the reason why they made the model is just to get the explosion effects and everything. And it's like, yeah, they do have like actual like practical explosions in it, but everything else is CGI. Like the whole fucking thing is CG.
This has something like 2 million polygons and about 2,000 lights. So it was really a big challenge to make.
It's so depressing.
So it just made me laugh, because I'm just like, you literally could have just lit it and filmed it with the model. You already made the model.
So what's the point?
Why even make it CG? So, and they probably were like, I can only imagine them looking at all the CG effects and being like, oh fuck, you know,
we're
like,
so fucked.
What have we done?
Very talented people together and really put the money on the screen. I hope we're making a movie that looks a lot better than the amount of money we've got.
This is a movie that just makes me want to take a shower after I've watched it every time. It's so like, it's so sleazy and grimy. The kills are stupid, but it makes you laugh. That's the main takeaway, I think.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's just like there's like that great scene where the professor is like he's encountered by confronted, not encountered. I'm just fucking all my words up today.
It's all good,
he's
man.
Encountered by his confronted. Whatever.
Encounters of the third. Oh
my
God.
I'm everywhere.
Something else. Continuing.
Alex, cut to the scene.
We need to talk about my midterm.
A student comes in because they're students.
Yeah.
And she's just like, let's talk about my exam mark and everything like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's like,
and she's gonna sleep with them or something.
No, she has like nipple clampers, and she's like, all she does. He's wearing like ladies' lingerie, and she's like in some sort of like S&M looking outfit. And she's just like squeezing his nipple, and then like, that scene could have been much worse, but also much clever because the director's talking about what he wanted to do with the scene, and I think this guy has a fetish of getting his nipples squeezed because he was the one that put that. Yeah. So what he wanted to do apparently is he wanted to like, I don't know, have that scene and then cut to some other stuff and then cut back. And it was going to show like this, like, it looks like the surface of a moon and everything like that. And the camera was just going to like slowly zoom out. And then you'd start to reveal that it's a nipple and then a clamp was going to squeeze on it. And I'm just like, you know what? That's so sleazy and terrible that it's fucking awesome. It would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I just imagine like a micro close up, like a 1,000 mil, like, and it's just like, what is that? Is that a moon? And then like it just like goes out, and then it's like, oh my God, it's a nipple. That would have been hilarious.
That would have been great. Actually, I would have been okay with that.
You pass!
But this is the last one to mention about like cast and everything like that, because the cast is all just fucking terrible.
Yep.
Besides the cameo by David Cronenberg, he's like the best part of the movie. But this is the last one to actually feature Kane Hodder, and Kane Hodder had been like Jason ever since. Oh God, I want to say the sixth one. I don't think he was in the fifth. No, he wasn't the fifth one. I think it was six. He did New Blood. Was it New Blood? Whatever the seventh one was called. And then Jason Takes Manhattan. And then he also did Jason Goes to Hell, and then did this. And I mean, with Freddy vs. Jason, like it was a huge thing that he got replaced. Like everyone thought, even the guy that replaced him in Freddy
was upset about
he was like, I'm never gonna live up to Kane.
Yeah.
But Kane was like he's like a stuntman first, actor second. Yeah. So you can really feel like the way he portrays Jason is always so good, and he was like famous for being like directors would give him like direction, and he'd be like, Jason wouldn't do that, and it's just like because you just hire stuntmen to be Jason, right? Because you want to throw him around, and he's got his mask on the entire time, but he actually brought like character to it, and he needs to be mentioned as well because he really kept like the fandom of it alive all the way through. He would go to the conventions, really make it go. Like this is a series that went from like the fucking like 70s, 80s. Like all the way
into the thousands.
To like the almost 2010. They did the remake in 2009, so like it almost went to 10, and people still want another one. You know what I mean? Like they want it to be remade.
Everybody wants these to be remade now.
I'm actually totally okay if they were to bring back, like, not do it in a way like what they're doing with the Halloween movies. Don't bring back like the past cast, but if they just said like, we'll bring back Kane to just embody him. I don't know. I don't know if he can still do the stunts. He might be a little too old. But to embody him, and then we'll just make like a Friday the 13th movie, and we'll make it either like a really, like, you remember I was saying in the commentary about The Grudge being like, we wish it was like really intense and brutal.
Yes.
If they just made like a really intense, brutal slasher film with Jason, it'd be fucking awesome. And then like just showcase amazing special effects. That's all you want to see in these movies is the amazing special effects and showcase creativity. That. I would be down for that. The last time I heard them talk about a remake, they wanted to make it a found footage movie, and I'm like, don't do that. Like found footage, I just imagine like the kills, and all you see is like him just like the camera like shaking, and then it just like cut, and then you just see him go like, it's like, oh fuck that, don't do that.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah, or make a sequel to this. I would be down.
Okay, a Jason X found footage film sounds amazing from like spaceship cameras. I'd be okay with that.
Paranormal Activity, but it's Jason X.
In space! Oh my God, actually I'd be okay with that. It'd be amazing. It'd be so stupid. That's how we'll do it.
It'd be wonderful. And you can't talk about Jason X without talking about the upgrade that he gets in it.
Uber, isn't it Uber Jason?
Uber Jason.
Yeah.
So one thing they established, remember that kid I was talking about that got like his arm cut off and everything like that? They established with that, which is actually kind of good like storytelling maybe.
Sort of. It's a little on the nose for the setup.
They mention like nanobite technology can like fix anything, and which was one of the worst looking visual effects I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, so what happens is like the robot lady gets a upgrade.
Yeah.
Even though they call it a download.
Oh, wow. Gave her an upload.
And she's wearing like this weird fucking like S&M kind of shit as well.
Really weird.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. And her acting is just fucking awful. She's clearly having fun with it, but it's so cheesy. It's just like terrible. And there's some awkward shots in that scene too, where she's like fighting Jason before he becomes Uber Jason.
Yeah.
There's like a shot, it's like a low angle between her holding two guns, and it just looks fucking awkward. But yeah, he ends up getting all this nanobite technology, and then it builds him into Uber Jason. I love the look of Uber Jason.
The new mask looks really good. That's like installed onto his face.
Like the whole body. I like the leather half of him, and then like the chrome other half.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And it's really funny because if you watch the trailer for this, it's just like literally the tagline of this movie is evil gets an upgrade. And then they're showing Uber Jason.
And
it's like the big selling part.
20 minutes, not even 20 minutes.
It's like the last 10 minutes. But the reason why is because the director's like, Uber Jason was supposed to be like a twist, like a reveal.
And
you know what I mean?
Gave it away.
Yeah, they just blew it all and everything like that. Jason Isaacs, the director, or not Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs is the director
that's
now.
a great actor. Jim Isaacs, he said like, yeah, well, it was all marketing and everything like that. That's the biggest selling point of the movie. And I'm just like, your biggest selling point of the movie should have been that he was in space. You don't have to show that.
You don't have to show
the
Uber.
only reason why they didn't showcase the space stuff is because it looked so
was
fucking
bad.
bad. This movie opened to 6.5 million in the box office, and I think it was only made for $1 million. So I think this movie actually made money.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just fucking awful. Like, but oh my God, I don't. It's funny, like I said, that's a theatrical release because it has all of the pieces of just like a terrible bad movie.
And to a direct-to-video type.
Yeah, like one of those movies
yeah.
that you find that you're like, oh my God, yes, I found this dumpster of a film, but everybody was so passionate about it.
Yeah.
Everybody was so in love with it. You know, like the director, delusional director. That's like the biggest thing you want to find in your bad movies.
The delusional director of grandeur.
This is like one of my favorite bad movies ever. I mean, like everyone loves The Room and Troll 2 and everything like that, but there's some gems out there that you can find, and this is one of my favorite ones. I laugh so much watching this movie. Some of it's intentional comedy, but mostly it's just unintentional. Terrible visual effects,
stupidity.
Terrible acting, stupid shit, worst fucking production design ever. And it's not even their fault, it's just the lighting. It's just like, it's a director, make everything bright. No, what are you doing? These sets aren't
bright as
they're not
possible.
100 million. It's not Dune. It's not like these gigantic epic sets.
No.
$1 million, hide everything.
There's a type of science fiction movie that gets made a lot where it's very dark and menacing, and we wanted to do the opposite.
A luxury like spacecraft is supposed to feel comfortable. And I'm like, I get that. I really understand that. But like, you can only do that if your sets are like
pristine,
really high end.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then there's nothing wrong with like them getting back. Like this is how I would have done it. Maybe you have like first thing and it shows like this set and you're like, oh God, these sets look terrible. And then you say like, oh, the power is out, and then Jason starts on falling, and then everything like that happens. You know, because you want to hide all your imperfections.
Yeah.
Take Alien to an
Alien's
effect.
perfect for that.
Yeah, that movie was not made for that much money back in the day.
God no.
It was fucking going to be a Roger Corman film, and then they just like got better writers on it and pumped it up, and then got Ridley Scott. He was an excellent director, and then they made it into this pristine film. Yeah. So like yeah, just I don't know.
This is basically what Alien's fate would have been otherwise.
This is the counterpart to Alien. It's like the illiterate, you know, like brother of Alien. You watch Alien and everything like that. It's like
go to Jason
beautiful, like, you know, miniatures and everything like that, and then it hard cut to just like the facility where they're all standing in like this flat lit shot, you know, and it's just like fuck me,
Two
like
sides of the same coin.
So bad. It's beautiful. It's an excellent movie. This is the best film ever made. But yeah, when it comes to bad movies, like this one is up there. Like, yeah, like I was saying, Room and everything go away.
Yeah.
But like this, The Visitor, Greenskeeper.
I would say Rotor.
Yeah, Rotor. I won't show any clip on Greenskeeper because we gotta save that one.
That is probably my favorite terrible movie, and it's not even a movie, but we will go on that another day, I think.
And the funniest thing about The Visitor and Rotor is those also were in theaters,
Yeah.
but like the biggest thing you want to find in your bad movies is like the delusional director. And that's just like, I feel bad because he is dead. He passed in 2012 and everything, and he was quite young. He died of cancer. It was like blood cancer, multiple myeloma. Myeloma. Multiple myeloma. Whatever. I'm not a doctor. All these kids are medical students as well. That's another thing.
Yeah.
They're like the biggest fucking idiots ever.
They don't act like it in the slightest.
So stupid. I love it. They're all terrible and everyone's great.
Everyone's stupid.
And the visual effects, like I just can't specify enough like how terrible these visual effects are. Like if I'm correct, this came out before Titanic. If you just want to showcase, and I know that movie was made for $100 million. It's not fair to compare, but this is just like we don't understand visual effects, so they relied so heavily on visual effects. Yeah. It's just like, why would you ever do that? And that's the most baffling thing about it, is he was a special effects artist and like practical. David Cronenberg
really
uses a ton of practical effects. So it's just like
total missed opportunity.
And he grabbed his team that like he used on those movies. So it's just like this movie.
There's no excuse.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just confusion. It's them not understanding the technology. They wanted to push it heavier, but it's just like Jimmy, my boy, I know you're dead, but Jimmy, like, don't do this. Learn from the mistakes of Jimmy. Don't rely so heavily on visual effects unless you have like $200 million. Unless you're Avatar. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then even then you got to light it correctly. There's a lighting method to that. That's when you can tell like your Neil Blomkamp's and Garth Edwards, the director of like Godzilla and Rogue One. As much as I'm not a big fan of Rogue One has some of the best blend of practical to visual effects I've ever seen.
I love the ending of Rogue One.
Yeah, but and then Dune. Dune's the biggest one. Dune is probably one of the best blends of all time.
Where you can't tell
literally
anything,
can't tell.
Amazing.
But so Jason X, guys, Friday the 13th. Oh my God, no, we're not done yet. On this topic of visual effects, we gotta talk about the ending of this fucking thing. Where like Jason, so they're like setting the ship. They're setting the ship up to explode.
Yeah.
This is like the best part of the whole movie. Okay, so like everything's gone to shit, and characters are being stupid. Yeah. Even though they said we like to praise our characters because they all act smart, they're all together. And I'm like, them being together means nothing if they're all fools. Yeah. There's like this one character that's like, I'm gonna go into the escape pod, and she's like crying and having like a breakdown, and then she's like, I'm leaving, fuck all of you. And she goes into like the spaceship, which has the weirdest looking fucking design. It's like a ball and then like two triangles. And then she doesn't unhook the fuel rod and just like blows up.
Oh yeah, and that's the lamest explosion ever.
Yeah, and they're just like, just close off that door. Everything should be fine if we just close off that door. It's like the whole bottom of your ship just fucking blew up. It's like, what the fuck do you mean close a door?
It's fine. It's under control.
And so then after that, they're like, well, Jason's dealt with, so we gotta like we got this new like ship coming to save us, this rescue ship. So we gotta like open a door. That's like that's what's after Jason. They have to open a door. So this is when Jason's getting like uber Jason. Yeah. And oh my God. Like, so then you have like the African American military guy who's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go outside and do a spacewalk to fix it. And he opens up this panel that looks like, I don't know, the reactor from the Back to the Future car. It's all visual effects. It looks fucking terrible. And he's got like a children's lightsaber toy that he's like poking at. I don't know. It looks so fucking bad. But anyway, so then like Uber Jason shows up and he's all like, blah, 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 I'm gonna kill all you guys. They have a stupid fight again. People die. Girl gets like thrown through a vent and cuts into a billion pieces, Alien Resurrection style. But getting to the worst visual effect in the history of the world, and it looks so awkward and bad. There's an ending where they get off the ship, it blows up, whatever, and then and they're like, oh my God, Uber Jason's coming at us. And you just like see him like awkwardly like, floating. And you're like, what the fuck? And then like the captain that like stayed back to like fight him and everything. And that's another thing. There's like a sort of face-off moment where they like walk to each other and they go fight. And it's like, it's so awkwardly filmed that just like they walk and it's like, you can feel like the end cut right before they're making connection. I'm like, It looks so fucking bad. Like, you know, but anyway, he's like coming and then you see like that, you see that captain just like smashing him. And then somehow like they get sucked into the orbit of Earth or like the gravity of Earth. And they're like burning into the atmosphere and everything. But the shot, they have a shot of like showing Jason and him burning into the atmosphere. And it looks like so awkward. Jason just like this going. And then like the captain's like on top of him and he's like wavy. It looks like terrible early visual effects, just like with this like model of them on it, and it looks like he's like fucking him. It looks like he's having sex with him. And like there's on the making of documentary, they talk about that shot and how they're like, yeah, it's something we could never film. So what we did is it's all visual effects. It's just like these stand-in CGI things. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You can't film like an actual actor burning the atmosphere? Of course you can't film that. But you have an entire green screen and wire team.
To have some stunts that are inherently dangerous looking to help tell your story, but you obviously don't want to put your actors at risk. And so we're doing actually a digital stuntman. We are doing a 3D scan of Jason, of Kane Hodder, the actor, where Jason and Brodsky are burning back up into the atmosphere of Earth. That'll be a completely 100% digital shot. It's a shot that you couldn't photograph traditionally, and you certainly couldn't get an actor to do that. You still have that motion picture feel as if it could have been really shot, but the shot is now digital. And the expense of it isn't enormous anymore.
Just have like them holding each other and burning into the atmosphere and then mat that over a green screen. Why the fuck is it CGI? They're like wavy back and forth and looks like he's fucking over Jason. It's so bad. It's like the fucking worst thing ever.
Oh my God.
It's like so bad. That's a goddamn.
I blanked that fucking ending out, eh? I like blanked a good chunk of that. I remember that. Oh my God.
Yeah, I like repressed it. I was about to end this episode.
I realized I've repressed a lot of this movie and you've brought back some memories.
It's like the worst scene ever. And then like it cuts to them on Earth, like to these people on Earth, they're at Crystal Lake and they see like Crystal Lake still exists, I guess 2,400 or 400 years in the future. And then like shows like the shooting star, which is supposed to be Uber Jason. And they're just like, make a wish. And then it cuts to like the water and Uber Jason's mask falls to the ground and goes like the music, the cha, and then like it cuts and the movie's over and I'm like, what the fuck did I just fucking watch? Like so bad. But like but that's like what makes it so lovable is like the delusion of the filmmakers and the fact that it's from a guy that like worked on professional shit with Cronenberg, like some excellent movies minus Existence, but Existence has fun moments.
Made a disaster of this.
Oh my God, it's just like the worst movie ever. But that's also like a thing. Going back to like some of my favorite bad movies, like The Visitor, that was made by Fellini, Federico Fellini's assistant director, like a guy, I mean, like, yeah, assistant directing is all scheduling and everything, but he was like right there talking to Fellini for fuck's sakes, and he made like the worst movie ever. He made like a dumpster fire film. So it's like these people that have connections to these like really famous, excellent, like mastercraft filmmakers.
Strokes their ego to
just
do this.
To make the worst movies fucking ever. I don't know, like it's delusion. It's like misdirection and guidance or something like that from a director's vision. It's just like funny that this movie came off so incorrect. But within that, it was made in the best way it could have been made.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have wanted to see this actually take itself seriously and be a horror movie. It's so funny.
Well, the whole plot is Jason in space. How can...
like I said, that's your selling point. It's just funny that they thought like the stinger
Uber
ending, that's the selling point. They show you how like little faith they had in the movie. Oh my God. And it was released in April. Like, you know, that's a weird release date. Like right almost going into the summer blockbuster era. And they just fucking
completely
bumped this
this
fucker out. Yeah. This movie had so much hate when it came out. Everyone fucking hated it. It was like the black sheep of the franchise. But if you ask me, it's one of the most entertaining ones. The best one is Friday the 13th Part 4. But then, like, you know, after that, the like 5 sucks. 5 is boring. And Jason Takes Manhattan, even though it's like, oh, he goes to Manhattan, everything like that. The first like half of that movie is so boring. It's only the last like 20 minutes when he's in Manhattan that's like, it becomes more fun, but it's still not that fun. But shout out to Jason Takes Manhattan's ending, where they kill him by like flooding the sewage system in Manhattan, which apparently has toxic waste in it. That's one of the best things ever.
They use it as a positive.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, Manhattan's waste system is like toxic. Like what? It's like all this toxic waste flows through the sewer system of Manhattan, I guess. That's great. Yeah, Jason X. Originally was going to be called Friday the 13th Part 10. Then they just like the production name for it, they just called Jason 10, and then they're just like, I'll just call it Jason X, and then Fast X, Fast and Furious X. Everybody go X.
They like their X's.
Yeah.
The X's don't like them.
At least it makes sense because they use Roman numerals, and after 3, they started using Roman numerals. Actually, in 5, it looks like they started using Roman numerals. Whatever. But like, so calling it Jason X makes sense.
I guess.
And it's so different from the Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, in comparison to this, to like Jason Goes to Hell, which is the worst one ever because it's so boring. This one is not boring. That's the best thing I can say about it, is it's not boring. It's really fun.
It's like engaging. It's to the point that you repress some of the more ridiculous scenes.
Like the whole ending is so
I would say
bad.
like the complete ending.
That's when it becomes a full-on action movie, and it's so bad, but it's so wonderful. It's like watching a cheesy space straight-to-home video movie, and it was in theaters, so love it.
You paid full price for a ticket for this, people.
That's worth it. If this came to theaters, I would be in a heartbeat there. Like, I'd be like, just for the audience. Like, I would hope that it was a sold-out show.
Yeah.
It would be so much fun to watch people just react to this
honestly,
movie.
Yeah,
they do The Room all the time, and bring this. It's just so much fun.
Back.
But yeah, 20th anniversary of the film. Almost the 10th anniversary of the director's passing. Mm-hmm. So, and Friday the 13th. It's like the perfect storm of why wouldn't we do this? Yeah. So, yeah, guys, that was our spotlight. Even though a lot of it was like this scene, that scene, there's so little to talk about. It's just like, I just want to shine love to this movie because it's so terrible and the plot just makes no sense. and it's so thin on the plot. We didn't describe the plot too much because we literally described the plot.
Yeah,
like after that,
nothing.
It's just things.
It's just Jason killing people.
Things happening. Yeah. But it's like the setup is funny as fuck.
Yeah,
and the characters are terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's wonderful. I highly recommend this movie. If for a bad movie, it's funny. It's one of those ones that's just sitting in plain sight. But if you haven't watched this in a while or watched it at all, watch this movie. Yeah. You'll laugh so much. Get a beer, sit down with some friends, and just die of laughter because it's so terrible.
Of like C-tier movies, this is the top of it.
It's funny. Made for $1 million. So back in the day, I mean, it's not like an A-list project, but it would be like a low-grade studio film. And it just like, it just made a ton of money. And like I said, it was like a contract with Paramount, or not Paramount, sorry, New Line, where they were like, okay, Sean S. Cunningham, you go make the movie and then we'll buy it from you. And that's what it was. And there's the fact that like New Line actually was like, yeah, we'll buy this.
We'll take it.
Yeah, it's part of the contract. Don't get me wrong. It was part of the contract. It said, you were going to make Jason X and it's going to be Jason in space. And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. We'll buy it from you. And then they did. But they made they made their money back. And then it was actually a good partnership because Freddy vs. Jason made a ton of money. Like I'm saying, that movie was made for like, I don't know how many millions of it, but they made like well over $100 million on that movie. And that's a fucking success story.
My takeaway is no matter how stupid and ridiculous your horror movie is, it'll probably make its money back.
Horror movie is the best. If you were ever trying to get like a bank loan for your movie, they'll probably, if it's a horror film, they'll most likely give you that kind of like.
Because you'll probably make your money back no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, they sell so well. That's the most profitable. It's one of the oldest genres ever, and it's the most profitable one to this date. It makes way more money than ever. And I think that's the big reason why this movie is just so silly, is because it's not a horror film.
No, it's a comedy.
It's an action film that turned into a comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, so with that being said, Jason X, huge recommendation. It's sleazy, gross. You probably want to take a shower after.
And cry.
But it's hilarious. It's not sleazy and gross like watching something like, I don't know, The Human Centipede. It's not like disturbing.
No,
it's not a disturbing film.
It's not disturbing. It's just sleazy.
It's just like you watch and you're just like, oh, those poor actresses feel like they're all being taken advantage of.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny. But yeah, guys, I recommend this movie 100%. This is, I guess, the first entry in a Spotlight Blacklight edition. You know, a blacklight is used to, a spotlight is used to shine, light on something that deserves the attention. A blacklight is used to
show
reveal
all your crimes.
Reveal cum stains in a motel. Like a bed.
Yeah, motel.
And guys, if I can make an analogy, Jason X is a cum stain.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God.